What's going on? So, we are back for another night of talking about confidence, building up our confidence, working through this thing we call confidence. So, I told you that I have a commitment this year to helping more people discover and deliver their gift and their purpose. And hold on one second. I was feeling a little extra chilly, so I had the heater on, but I wanted to turn that off so it wasn't making that noise in the background. But so tonight I want to continue keeping this momentum going. Right, we're at the beginning of the year. We're building up some momentum for the year by showing up and really addressing how we are going to discover and deliver the best of ourselves. Right, we've been talking about our dreams for the last couple nights and talking about how to develop a dream, how to develop your vision, and why a vision is so important. And it's because your vision is going to give you direction. And so tonight, as we're chit chatting, drop comments in the chat. And like I said the other night, we're streaming everywhere. I told you I want to impact more people, which means you got to show up for more people. So I'm streaming on YouTube and on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And so and the reason for it is just to get around as many people as I can that want to make that change and that transition in their life and not just dream anymore, but move from dreaming to doing, go from dream to do, go from inspiration to implementation, actually getting things done. And so tonight, the last couple nights, we've been talking about vision, developing vision. Um, and, and today I just felt we kind of need to go a different way so that we can actually move into developing vision. And so earlier today, I went to the doctors. I had a doctor's appointment for my surgery, one of those pre-op type visits. I'll be having surgery next week. And so I was in, getting evaluated today, and they were going over my vitals, and they were telling me my blood pressure level and all that, which was like, I don't know, 108 over 72 or something real good. They were like, that's fantastic. And so I'm there, and I'm in the doctor's office, and the doctor is checking me out, and she says, all right, I'm gonna have to sit behind you. I need to, check on your breathing. And so she says, I'm gonna touch you. Right. She said, I'm gonna sit behind you, I'm gonna touch you a little bit. And I said, okay, that's fine, no big deal. And as she was touching me, evaluating, I felt her hands on my head, on my neck, on my back. And in that moment, I took time to it actually it caught me off guard almost. I knew she was going to touch me, and yet it still caught me off guard. And I realized that another person was touching me. I realized this person who I really don't know, she was touching me. She was touching my life for the purpose of preparing me to heal, for the purpose of helping me get into a situation, into a position so that I could be healed, so that I can move forward in life and be stronger. And it was the fact that this person who didn't know me was showing up, and she was touching me, that impact, it meant something in that moment. I felt it, and it stood out. And so tonight, what it caused me to think about was this. So often we want to move forward in life. So often we want to have a dream. We want to have a vision. We want to, move into the business. We want to move into our next relationship. We want to achieve something. And yet we haven't healed from the injury of the past. We actually haven't allowed our lives to be touched in such a way that we could heal from what has happened in the past. See, my injury is probably at least 7 years old, and I've been managing life with it. There's this thing I call managing miserable. I've actually been managing miserable because I couldn't be my full self, because I know that I'm injured. I know that I'm hurt. And while it doesn't stop me from doing everything, when I go to do certain things, I think about it. Right? Before I go to lift a whole lot of weight, I'll think about it. Before I go to move a certain kind of way, I'll think about it, because I know that the injury is there. And so sometimes in our minds, we want to move forward, we want something else in life, but yet we have never addressed the old injury. We've never addressed the fact that something happened in our lives, caused us harm, it hurt us, and the thought still lingers. And so tonight, for a few minutes, I wanted to just get together as we're moving forward and talk about the perspective, how that injured perspective can impact our lives, and why it is so important for us to really look at the root of where our perspective is coming from. Like how are we actually looking at life? What through what lens are we seeing life? Is it through perhaps a a lens of injury, or a lens of abuse, or a lens of trauma and hurt? And as we look at it, again, we've been talking, like, how do we find the clues for creating vision? Sometimes our vision is, we're being blinded because we're we can't see through our pain. The pain is so great. The pain is occupying, so we see it everywhere we look. We turn around and we look over, at something, even a physical situation in our lives. We can look at it and we see something that reminds us of the pain, right? We see that person, we see mementos, we drive by certain places in our neighborhood, we listen to music, but we see the song, right? We see the moment where we were when the song was playing. All of that can contribute to our vision being blocked. And while on the inside we know that there is more available, we can't really see it because the pain is blocking it. When a cringe asks, "Are you basically a therapist?" I'm not. Like, let's talk about this for a second. So I'm not a therapist. I mean, I went to massage therapy school, if you want to count that. But when I share with you, I'm sharing heart to heart, right? I would prefer and really love if you see me and say, "Look, that's my friend, the guy I can talk to." That's what it is. Over my life, throughout the course of my life, I've been through enough situations and circumstances, and especially in the last, 7, 8 years, actually probably the last 12 to 15 years, I have had to do a lot of internal work to discover the person that I wanted to be, the person that I believe I'm called to be and meant to be. And so in that process of learning, I I don't I don't I don't want to go through life. I don't want to simply go through life and just let life happen. Here's what I believe. I believe that life is happening for me. I don't believe life is happening to me. And because I believe that, I want to learn the lessons. Right? I want to learn what is going on in this situation. Why did I respond this way? I want to know about me in the situation. What caused me to be that way? Because here's the deal. When you start to look at yourself in the situations, you're going to learn about you. If you use your time trying to figure out why someone else did something to you and you're putting it on them, you're going to end up actually putting yourself, I believe, in a victim role, and you won't actually ever be able to unlock the power that you have. Because the only power that we have in the situation is the power that we have within. We can only control what we do. We can only control our perspective and our thoughts and how we go about things, our response to what happens. We can't, we'll never be able to stop someone from being evil and wanting to hurt us or do harm or mistreat us. We probably can't stop that. Someone in this life is going to do things to harm us. We're going to run into those situations, but we get to decide how we go about it, right? We get to decide how we go through this situation and our perspective on it. And so tonight, after being in the doctor's office and having the doctor touch me, physically touch me. When her hand touched my head, I mean, she was very gentle. She did it in such a gentle way that it just gave me a moment to pause and I thought, I thought she's touching me so that I could be prepared to heal. Like, and it was just a very powerful moment for me as this doctor was serving. She was serving so that I could be prepared to heal. And I felt like for all of those that showed up tonight, and when we talked about vision and moving forward, that like really, I would encourage you tonight, just kind of like in a real cool, kind of relaxed place to find to go kind of go inside, right? Find maybe some quiet time tonight. Our lives can be very, very busy. And in that busyness, in the commotion of life, and I believe sometimes the commotion of life is what we bring in and allow in order to drown out the voice of pain. I think sometimes we have to quiet down life so that we can hear, so that the pain can actually speak, so that we can actually recognize this pain, this hurt, this thing that I have not recovered from, this thing that is hurting me. This is actually why I can't move forward yet, because this hurts, because I'm still in the moment of trauma. I'm not actually able to, I can't actually dream freely because the pain is gripping me. Like I've told you how it was for me when, like with the farm, and I shared how I was asking the question for myself, where do broken hearts go? From that song, Whitney Houston sang it, where do broken hearts go? And in our world, we have a lot of places for a lot of things, but the question for me was, where do broken hearts go? When you are really brokenhearted, where do you go? As a man, I mean, I didn't think there were many places. I was like, well, I really don't, you know, I don't know, right? And so for me, I started to think about my life and how throughout life there are there are places and opportunities where I was able to serve people and help them in brokenhearted situations, right? Whether it was on in a massage treatment room. And what I want to share tonight are ways that we can actually go through creating environments and atmospheres that bring about healing. When you can get into a place that you might call a safe space where you can find some rest, where you can relax. Perhaps it's getting out in nature and moving around a little bit. Perhaps you're putting on some music that is doing something for you to help you to relax. Maybe you have some like essential oils and things like that, and you like the oils, and maybe some I'm a fan of lavender. You have that lavender in the atmosphere, right? When we're wanting to heal from experiences in life and really bring ourselves to a place of wholeness, it actually requires some level of aggression. We actually have to seek after and pursue creating an atmosphere and an environment and being around those that would support the healing process, right? The healing process. It doesn't matter. Like, here's the thing about the healing process, whether it is physical, whether it is emotional, whatever it may be, there's going to be a process to heal. And as long as you are living, right, you at some point are going to have an experience where you get hurt. It- It's going to happen. So the question is not a matter of if we are ever going to be hurt in life. The question really is, what am I going to do when the pain comes? Right? What am I going to do when I am hurt? How am I going to respond? And have I created an atmosphere and an environment and a treatment plan so that I can heal when the pain actually does happen? Or since the pain has happened, am I actually putting myself in a situation to heal? Let me give you something real practical. Sometimes we go through situations with people and we have breakups, and especially like on social media and with all of this connection that we have digitally, sometimes we have interactions that we leave open. We leave the connection open. And something simple that you can do to help clean up your environment is actually unfollowing people, blocking people, deleting accounts, deleting interactions. Why? Because you're cutting off the connection, right? You're cutting off the connection. So Kitty Face 2 said, I don't know how to start to heal from 36 years of abuse. 36 years is a long time. So let's just take that. 36 years is a long time. You say, I don't know where to begin. Right now, you've already begun. So here's the thing. Once we're able to raise our hand and say, listen, I know that I've experienced this abuse. I When we start to be honest, here's what the truth does. It'll make you free. So when we raise our hand with that thing to say, I've actually been abused. Let me tell you, that is not a proud moment. I'm talking from personal experience. It is not a proud moment to admit that you've been abused. And so to raise your hand to that, to say, I've been abused. It's been going on for some time. And you start to articulate and you start to share, even if one of my favorite tools, you grab some paper, you grab a pen, and you begin to start writing out what is going on in your life. I've been abused for a long time. This is how I feel about it. This is how it's hurt me. And you start, for lack of a better word, you have to touch that area. Think about it. So I'm going to the doctor. I'm going to share my personal situation with you. Going to the doctor because I'm having a hernia surgery. Well, the hernia surgery it's going to happen below my belly button. And so while the doctor touched my head and she touched my back and she checked my heart and she listened to my breathing, there came a point where she's like, we got to check down there. You have to be willing to expose that area of injury so that it can be addressed. And I couldn't, I'm not ashamed. I'm like, listen, I need to be healed. I need to be healed because this pain, which for me, the injury, not so much pain, the injury is keeping me from living more abundantly. Yes, I am alive, but I am not living the abundant life. I am not living my fullest potential because I am dealing with an injury that is unresolved. So I need that issue solved. But in order for that to happen, I have to get to a place of vulnerability. Check this out. I have to get to a place with vulnerability so that someone can see into a private area. Now, for me, that's a physical private area. We call it our private parts. But for all of us, the heart matters. The matters of the heart, that's a private matter. It's a private matter. But how can we ever heal a wound, heal an injury? This is my daughter. Hey, Loop Loop. How can we ever heal an injury that we're not willing to touch? Think about it. We stub our toe, we hit our elbow. Lord knows we hit our shins. What's the first thing we're going to do? Reach down and grab it. It's our natural response when something is hurt to clutch that area. Why? Because we know it needs attention. But when it comes to matters of the heart, somehow we've been made to believe that we can just continue operating with heart wounds and everything is going to be a-okay. It doesn't work that way, and we all really know it. Even naturally, if we have heart issues, if our hearts are failing, we our cardiovascular system, if it is not able to perform at a certain level, no one expects for us to go out and be able to run a marathon or do sprints or anything that's going to be intense on the heart. How, with brokenheartedness, can we move into new, happy, and whole relationships? We can't. I'm not even talking about with anybody else. I'm talking about with ourselves. How can, with broken hearts, how can we move into our greatest dreams? How can we do that? The heart says, I don't have the capacity right now to handle the magnitude of your dream because I am broken. You can't do that. So instead of just breezing past it, instead of trying to disguise it, instead of trying to drown it out with the noise of social media, with the noise of being busy at work, with the noise of a new relationship that's not going to work because we're carrying this brokenness, let's just deal. Like, this is going to be a great year for us, right? This is going to be a great year, but we have to deal. Here's a question from Two Moon Back. How does one deal with those that just point to the pain, not seeing the growth being broken? So there will be people, yes, that point, that want to identify the pain, that might poke the pain. And look, everyone, let me just help you here. Everyone is not a part of your healing team. Just because are around, everyone is not part of the healing team. When I give you the example again today, I went to the doctor. There were people that were in the building. There were a lot of people in the building. So I walked through the door. There were people in there that were talking to nurses and talking to the receptionist. They weren't a part of my healing team. They were in the building, but they weren't a part of my team. I talked to the receptionist. She's helping me. She, at a certain level, is a part of my team because she said, I'm going to help the process to get going. Then I go back in, and then there was a nurse practitioner, or I don't know what her official title was, but there was a nurse that was helping me. She did some of the pre-setup stuff. She asked me some questions. She took my blood pressure. She did something. She's a part of the healing team. And then the other nurse practitioner came in and she took it to a whole nother level. She's a part of the healing team. See, we need to be able to identify someone's role in our life. Everyone is not meant to, let me step back real quick. All of those people that helped me today had a job for today, and none of those people are going to be in the operating room. None of those people, though a part of my team, will not help me and not be there when I go into the operating room. If we are going to live our lives and really maximize the full potential of our lives, it is incumbent upon us to recognize that everyone does not belong in every situation, which leads us into boundaries. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm wearing a shirt that says Cinderella Strong. This is the name of my women's education and empowerment company. Okay, I named it Cinderella Strong because one day there was a woman on my Facebook account, one of my Facebook friends, who said she felt like Cinderella in her own home. It struck me that day. I just it caught me. I said, "Why do women relate to this girl? I feel like Cinderella. I feel like Cinderella." I said, "Let me find out." So I rent the movie and I watch the movie. But I don't just watch it just to watch it. I watch it because I want to study this thing. So I start studying it and I'm watching and I'm looking at all the different things. And I'm starting to see that this movie, Cinderella, I see it through brand new eyes. And I'm like, this is a story of transformation. She's transformed her life is being transformed. And not only her life, there are lives of like so many lives in this story that are being transformed. So much so that I start writing a book about it and I start trainings about it. And I build out this whole training off of this, what is a cartoon. But it's not just a cartoon. This thing is deep. There is so much to this story. And the reason I bring her up, this story up in this situation, is because I like to talk about how the people that are closest to you and those that are closest to you, why it matters. Okay. Because Cinderella, we know her story. She goes through a lot of stuff. But in her story, she has some critters that are around her. She has some mice, there are some birds, there's a dog, there's a horse. There are some critters that are around her that help her in the process of transformation. Now, while this might sound like just a silly kid's story, this story helps me bypass the emotional boundaries that some people put up. I'm like, listen, just check out the story. Let's just look at it. And the reason I'm bringing her up is because it's a reminder that those that are around you make a difference. See, she had got trapped and placed in her room. She had become imprisoned in her situation, in her own home. Just like many of us in our own lives, we have become prisoners to the moment. We have become prisoners to the pain in our own lives. We are there, we operate a little bit, but we're still trapped. And we need some people. This is why the power of community, the power of one another is so important. The power of one another is so important because there is someone who will have eyes to see you and they will have ears to hear you, someone whose heart would be moved for you and they will have compassion for you. And so the critters, those that were in her life, they were the ones that said, okay, we want to help her get to the next level. And so we are going to put together this dress and put together this outfit so that she can get there. And she comes downstairs and she's dressed in this outfit, this hand-me-down outfit that all these little critters had helped put together off of a pattern that belonged to her mom and all that good stuff, right? So she goes through this whole process because there were those that cared. And it got stripped away, but someone cared. And then she ends up, after this moment, being distraught and brokenhearted. Those critters were there. See, we have to be careful. We have to be careful to recognize who are the critters in our life that are willing to help us. Who are those people that are around willing to help us? And recognize that there was that cat who she said tormented them. There are some people that are there in your life and they are going to torment you. So don't let everyone be everywhere. Everyone's hands do not belong on your life. Some people will not sterilize their hands in order to be able to touch your situation and not cause damage to happen. See, this is what I know when we start thinking about it. When that doctor, they come in and they wash their hands and they want their hands clean because they are getting ready to serve. There's something that says, I don't want germs on my hands because I'm getting ready to serve. I don't want to bring with my hands a virus to hurt someone, germs to hurt someone. Now, someone else in your life, they're just going to handle you. They're just going to handle you. They're not going to have any regard for how they show up. And you are too valuable to keep allowing the same people who are unwilling to prepare themselves to serve you into a greater place of purpose to be touching your life. Some of these people on social media, they are not here to serve you to a greater place in your life. They are here and they're going to show up any kind of way and they're just going to handle your life and then they're going to move on and your life is going to be damaged because you sat there and you took all that in and you were trying to get away from pain, but they kind of added to it. You don't need to be handled by everybody. So tonight is really a heart issue. It's about the heart matters. And I just want to encourage you, slow down a little bit, quiet down a little bit. And I know that the quiet times, if you actually quiet down your situation and your moments, I know that the quiet times can become very loud. Trust me, towards the end of the year, this past year, there were a couple weeks I had a hard time sleeping. I was thinking so much about so many different things that when I tried to rest at night, it was like a marching band in my head. It was just loud. It was loud. I was using I was using white noise machine. I went on YouTube and I was turning on like 8 hours of what do you call that? Like ocean music. I I was trying to quiet my thoughts. I was trying to quiet my mind. And sometimes it's hard. It was hard for me to pray. It was just hard. I was like, I don't even have words. Like God, I don't even have words. I don't know. I can't even really pray right now. It was tough. It was tough. But I needed to hear those thoughts. I couldn't drown them out being busy, right? Sometimes we try to drown out our thoughts being busy. But guess what? We're just we're just self-medicating when we do that. And when we self-medicate, trying to drown out the noise, what ends up happening is, like every other drug, what we're using isn't enough. So then we have to try to take it to another level. And I need more noise. I need more distraction. I need something else to keep me occupied. When really what we need to do is just raise our hand and admit, like, I'm actually hurting right now. No, I'm actually hurting. And so I need to feel this pain and I need to do something about this. Because if I don't, what's actually going to happen? I'm never going to live the life that I could live because I'm in pain. Like that pain is real. And if we try to ignore it, thinking that we can just drown it out, it won't heal. It really won't. And your greatest, most wonderful dreams, you'll never pursue. Not with your whole heart, simply because your whole heart isn't available. When your whole heart is not available, you cannot pursue anything with your whole heart. That sounds like super simple, right? Like, duh, Brian. But sometimes we operate as if we can keep going. And I'm just telling you, experience. Oh, before you try to push into a new year, even though your heart right now, you might be in that place where you're trying to muster up the energy. I just feel like even me having like doing these sessions, I felt like there was a certain kind of heaviness coming into this year when even though people, you're like, I want to be excited, I want to be motivated, I want to achieve. And yet there's this like heaviness. There's this heaviness that I'm not all systems go, right? And so I wanted to be able to show up for those that were trying to get to that all systems go phase. Look, if we take 1 month out of the whole year and invest in getting healed and moving into that place of wholeness so that we can run for the rest of our lives, isn't that worth it? If we take 1 month out of the year and think about the vision, think about write the vision down, make it clear so that we can run with it. If we can think about ourselves and get a different perspective on who we are, isn't that worth it so that you can live the rest of your life as a healed and whole and complete person who can show up with their whole heart, not just for yourself, but you want to show up with your whole heart because there is someone that is waiting for the gift that is within you. Remember, there is a treasure within you. But if we're brokenhearted, we're not likely to deliver it because it is what? Buried by the brokenness, buried by the brokenness. It's underneath all this brokenness. And so, as we heal from the brokenness, we're removing the brokenness so that now we look, oh, I found my treasure. I found my gift. When I was broken, guess what I did not want to do? I did not want to talk to people. I did not want to do this. I knew in my mind I was called to this. I knew that I had been anointed for this, and I knew I had had this assignment and mission and gifting in my life. I did not want to do this. What I wanted to do was I wanted to be in a cave in the dark by myself alone, and I did not want to see people. You know why? Because I was brokenhearted. And in my brokenhearted place, what I did not want to do, I did not want to be around people. Why? Because people activate my gift. When I get around people, something in me comes alive and I was broken. So I was bleeding and hurting and my gift was being called upon and I felt like I didn't have anything to give. But check this out. It was in that broken place that I actually started to serve my gift. And while I served my gift, as I served it, I was healing because I was willing to be vulnerable. I was willing to share. I was willing to say things and I was sharing things that I needed to hear and I was starting to heal. There's this now listen, look, you know me, I'm going to share what I share. There's a story in the Bible about a woman who thought that she didn't have very much. She said, "All I have is a little bit of oil. That's all I have, just a little bit of oil. Me and my son, we were going to use it, we are going to consume it, and that would be it." And she's talking to a man that was there in her life, had showed up to show her something different. He says, "No, no, no, no. This is what I want you to do. I want you to go and get some vessels." What's a vessel? A vessel is something that you can pour into. Okay. So I'm gonna wrap this up real quick, but this is so, and it helped me. I wanted to help you. So he says, I want you to go borrow vessels from your neighbors and not a few. In other words, you have something, you have a little bit of something. So take all that I have. This is all I have. Yeah, this is all you have. Take what you have and go borrow vessels from your neighbors, not a few, and begin pouring into those vessels. And as you pour into those vessels, guess what? In this story, the oil kept on multiplying. As she poured, there was more to pour. He told her to shut the door and pour. Shut the door and go in and start pouring into these vessels. And so I was like, oh, I like that. Shut the door and pour. In other words, we're going to get into this moment. You're going to take the little bit that you have and you begin to, you know what? I know I'm hurting, but I see somebody right there that I can help. I know I'm hurting, but somebody needs these cookies that I can make. I know I'm hurting, but somebody could use this song that I could sing. I know I'm hurting, but I could help somebody develop their website. I know I'm hurting. Look, now you can start adding in your own thing. You just say it like, I know I'm hurting. That's you raising your hand. I know I'm hurting, but I see somebody that I can help. See, it's easy to serve. It's easy to pour out when you're in the place of abundance. It's hard when you're in the place of broken. It's so hard. And if you've hung with me long enough, you know that pretty much at some point in time, if I go too deep, my eyes are going to confirm that I'm going deep. And they start releasing the water. And that's me. That's my expression of what happens. Tonight I'm doing pretty good. But from the depths of me, I know that it is hard when you are hurting to serve. Somebody said, where did you learn your faith? Because honestly, who said this? Tampa Bay Zach. Where did you learn your faith? Because honestly, you make me want to be a better man every video. I'm a Bible guy. Like, I enjoy the Bible, right? I read the Bible, study it. Not from like some real heavy religious like perspective. I look at it, I'm thinking like, wait a second, these were real people going through real things. And when I was going through a real thing as a real person, I took that Bible, just being real. And I said, God, I don't believe. I don't believe. There's this passage in the Bible that says, with God, all things are possible. I got to a point in life and I said, I don't believe that though. I don't. I was very sincere. I was like, I don't believe. Like in my mind, there was a lot of stuff that I had deposited over the years, a lot of studying and reading, but I realized I did not believe because my action said, I don't believe. See, faith is an action. My action said, I don't really have the faith for this. No, I'm not actually operating in faith. And so I was broken. There was a point, the Bible says, be hot or cold. Don't be lukewarm. Be one or the other. And I was like, I'm cold. I'm cold. I don't believe. My heart is broken. I was like, I'm done. Like just not believing. And I was hurting for a while. It's hard to pray. Right? It was hard to commune with God, talk with God, and all that. And when I did, just being very sincere, there were times, and this is not something that you're going to get like in Bible schools, or I ain't claiming to be a Bible. There were times that I was using some language that would have got bleeped out in a TV show while talking to God. I'm like, God, listen, I'm not real proud of this, but I have dropped the F-bomb before while talking to God. Like, God, I have effed up terribly. Right? Like I didn't say effed up, I was dropping them. And I was angry and I was letting it fly, right? I was letting it fly. And I went through a time where this is how I communicated. When I needed to, I was getting it out. I was tired. I was sick and tired of praying the right thing. I'm like, I need somebody. God, you the one. I need you to hear my voice straight up as it is. Right? I'm like, you know what's in my heart anyway. I'm like, you know what I'm thinking anyway. So I'm gonna be straight up. I'm saying it all. You getting cuss words and everything. And after a while of that just being poured out, I found myself getting into a tender place, softening, while I was serving. Like I was struggling, serving what I believed about God, was taking hits. I had made some horrible mistakes and choices in my life. My family was falling apart, going through a divorce. I mean, crap was hitting the fan. And so, where did I learn faith? Where did I learn to take action? It was actually in my most broken place, because that's when it became real to me. That's when God became real to me. People be like, well, God is not even real. It's not even no real God. Listen, okay. But I know for me, I was reading this Bible and I was looking for, I took a whole year and I was studying love. I studied love for a whole year. I was just studying love. I was like, I need to know love. I need to know it. I don't want to hear it like Hallmark love. I don't need none of that. I need to know love. Love is patient. Love is kind. Like, I need to know this, right? And so I I studied and I was honest and I served someone, and I looked at myself very critically, because I said, God, I thought I knew you, but I didn't. I only really knew you in the good times. But in this broken place, this is where I found you. And so my heart for people that are silently like in broken places and brokenhearted is abundant. It was always there, but now it's there in a different way, because now I can say, I know what that's like. I know what it's like to make a request to God, for God to not allow me to breathe anymore. I know what it's like to pray, God, if you would just let me die, I would be more valuable to my family, because they could at least collect the life insurance and I could die honorably. Okay. So when you see me, I'm so glad you're here so you can hear this. When you see me and I'm posting and I'm sharing, I'm not just making stuff up. Like, I'm not just trying to come up with cool things to say. Mm-mm. I'm sharing with you my story in bits and pieces and clips and things like that to encourage you, because that I know what it's like to walk in the valley of the shadow of death. I know what it's like to be in that dark place. I know what it's like. Like, thoughts from a dark place. Someone just said it in the chat, thoughts from a dark place. I know what it's like. I was like, God, what can you even do with me? I was hurt. And so in that place, I learned. I learned. I learned the beauty of brokenness. Like, I learned the beauty that can come from brokenness. So when you hear me or you see me like talk about Cinderella strong, Cinderella, that story helped save my life. As silly as it may seem, this woman posted on her Facebook account, I feel like Cinderella in my own home. I felt like Cinderella in my own life. That story helped save my life, because I started studying that when I wouldn't study the Bible. I wasn't trying to see the Bible. Listen, let me say this again. I wasn't trying to see the Bible, people. What I found was Cinderella. I'm watching this movie, Cinderella. I'm studying because I'm like, all right, I'm going to serve these women that are in my life and I'm going to help them. These women want to lose weight. They feel like they're invisible. Nobody sees them. Nobody loves them. They feel like they get talked about, right? And so I'm studying this movie. I'm like, Cinderella strong. Every woman has the power to transform her life. Cinderella strong. It's my story that I'm sharing with women. This is what I'm saying. Cinderella strong. A cinder is something that was once on fire that has dwindled down in flame. Ella is the word for beauty. In Isaiah chapter 61 in the Bible, it says that God would give us beauty for ashes. So in her name, Cinder, Ella, Cinder, ashes, Ella, beauty, right there in her name. I was like, what is going on here? What? I'm like, God, did you really just show up in Cinderella? This cartoon? Did you just really show me that cinder is something that was once on fire that has dwindled down, but that has the capability of combustion? Means it can be sparked again. Cinder is in her name. Ella is the word for beauty. And then I see in Isaiah chapter 61 that he will give you beauty for ashes. I was like, that's cool. Cinderella strong. I was like, that's my calling. It's my ministry. It's my gift to the world. Like that's a part of my assignment. I was like, that's pretty dope. I was like, that's pretty cool. And so and I'm gonna wrap this up, but as I read through that chapter in Isaiah 61, and again, you don't have to be a Bible person to be encouraged by this, but as I read through the chapter in Isaiah 61, it says that the Spirit of the Lord is upon me and has anointed me to preach good tidings, right? I'm reading this and it's saying that God has empowered me to share messages of good with people who have broken hearts, who feel, overlooked, who have been in situations where they are mourning and they need joy. It says it has empowered me to bring this good news. And here's the reason. Later on in the chapter, in chapter 61, and I think it's just a cool chapter to read, Isaiah 61. Later on in the chapter, it says, so that they can rebuild, so that and it starts talking about all these wonderful things that people that have been through some stuff, what they can do. Like, it's amazing. The whole purpose, like, you're going to help someone that has been through some stuff be able to build up their life again and build up in their assignment again. And I said, that's Cinderella. So when you hear me talk about it, when I reference it, you all, because you're here, you have some backstory. And so out of a place of brokenness, out of that place in your heart that has been wounded from the abuse, let me just tell you, there's still the treasure within. It's just buried treasure right now. It's still there. It's still a treasure. It's buried treasure. It's underneath the hurt. It's underneath the pain. It's underneath the abuse. It's underneath the betrayal. It's underneath the thing that you did that you shouldn't have done. It's there. It's still there. It's still treasure. It's just underneath. Hear me. It's underneath. The treasure is underneath, which means the treasure is being dominated by the circumstances. When you uncover the treasure and the treasure is brought to light, the treasure now is dominating. This is why you hear me say, dominate life. Dominate life means we move from the position of being under. We're not under the influence. We're not under the impression. We are not depressed, meaning underneath something that is pressing us down. We are dominating life, which means we are in a position to reign and rule here on this earth the way we are designed to. That's why we dominate life. I just want you to know why I say what I say, because I've been under. But now it's time for that to change. Right? And so I want to encourage you, because I know what it's like to go from under to fighting, clawing through like a seed planted. You got to fight through in order to sprout up. So you fight your way through, and it's not easy, and you're going to need some people to help. And that's why we're building community. So I just wanted to share that tonight. Answer one more question. What do you do if I live with my abuser and can't afford to get out yet? All right, this is tough. First of all, if you're living with your abuser, you got to first get yourself to safety as soon as possible. As soon as possible. As soon as possible. Because if someone is willing to abuse you, you got to go, right? You got to go. Whether it's physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, you have to get to a place of safety as soon as possible. Ask, I mean, ask someone for help, call for help. Like depending on your situation, you know what your situation is. So I can't speak specifically to it, but I'm going to tell you the first thing you have to do is get to a place of safety as soon as possible. Now, like that's so important because if you don't get to a place of safety, you're going to always be processing from a place of defensiveness. And you're not going to your stress levels are going to be high. You're not going to be able to like your mental when you're in that situation, your mental is messed up because you're trying to basically preserve your life every day. Your emotional life, your physical life, your whatever it may be. So get to a place of safety, reach out to someone, ask for help. Like this is not if you are being hurt, if you are being abused, this is not the time for you to feel like you need to do it by yourself. Ask for help, ask someone for help, cry out for help. This is not a pride moment. Like go all in. This is an absolute selfish moment. You save yourself immediately. If you ever been on a plane, what do they tell you? If in the case of emergency, put your mask on first before helping anybody else. You save yourself immediately as soon as you possibly can. That's what you got to do. Like plan your escape, like plan your way out, start tucking some money away. Let me tell you, this this is a big deal for me. This is part of the vision that you may have heard me share before that like I hate to see women, I hate to see people, but in my life I've had a lot of women tell me their stories. But I hate to see women that are like stuck because they can't get out because of the money. And so when you hear me talk about empowering women financially and like building, that's the backstory. There was a time in my life where it was like every woman that I talked to was telling me that she had been physically abused and that she was stuck in some situation and there was sexual assault and it was a lot. And I was like, but I have to stay because I don't have any resources. That angered me. I'm like, oh no, we got to help. People question me now. They're like, what do you know about women? I know that I want to help. But listen, here's the flip side. I know that a man can be physically abused too. I've been physically abused. I know as a man what it's like to be physically abused. And who you going to tell? I know what it's like to be a man that's been abused and say, no one cares. Like, and you just like press it down. So listen, from both sides of the coin, regardless of if you're a man, whatever your situation is, you got to save yourself. You got to put yourself in a safe place. You got to put yourself in a safe place. because it is killing you physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, um, aspirationally, every Lee that you can think of. You are dying. You're dying. So please save yourself fast. Do it quickly, as soon as possible. So you don't announce it. Just move quiet. Move quiet. Move quietly. All right, it's 10:04. I told myself I told myself we were gonna be like a half an hour. I kind of missed it. But yeah, yeah. Listen, someone said, and you can physically die from one hit. Like, this is true. You gotta let me tell you, let me just say this for whoever it applies to, you are so important that you have to save your life. Okay. You are too important to go down. So please save your life. Please save your life. You're so valuable. And look, this is why you're here. You're here because you needed to hear that you are really, really valuable. You needed to hear it. You needed to be reminded of it. And look, I absolutely 100% am talking right now to instigate you moving. Oh, I'm instigating. I'm being an instigator. I want to agitate you to moving big time. I want to agitate you to move out of your abusive situation. But listen, all of us, I want to agitate you to move out of your pain, out of your suffering. And most importantly, I want to agitate you to move out of living a life less than your potential. I want to agitate you. I want you to be like, oh, that Brian, get on my nerves. Someone asked me, what is my day job? So, my day job is this. This is what I do. I do this in different ways. I use the farm and I share and I teach and I coach and consult with people. Um, I work with organizations to help them develop their relationships corporately within their organization. I help people to discover and deliver their gift. And this year, I'm going to make myself more available to do it for more people. Um, it's what I do. When you see me at the farm, it's the atmosphere that I created because for me, it helped me heal. And I believe being out in nature and not the way that I use it, it helps other people. So I'm a I'm a strategist for relationship. And I believe that relationships, first you have to start with yourself. And then we move from there. But I'm that person that's in your corner that's going to help you change your situation. Did I go to university or college? I did. I went to, and I promise I'm gonna wrap up. This will be my last question. I went to the North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, Aggie Pride. That's what we say. Yep. To the North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University in Greensboro, North Carolina. After that, I went to the Massage Therapy Institute, the Body Therapy Institute, and learned massage therapy. And from there, I have developed a number of businesses and helped people to develop their businesses and ideas and dreams as well. I was able to build a school and serve children from preschool through middle school, built that educational program. I built um, multiple women's empowerment programs in a company where we did wellness, health and wellness, holistic health and wellness. We addressed 5 areas of life: health, heart, hopes, haven, and heirs, meaning children and legacy, to help women see that they had the power to transform their lives. So that's a little bit about me. All right. Eric Thomas said the best second baseman they've ever seen. Good to see you, ET. I appreciate you, bro. Um, so let's do this. I'm going to end with prayer. You don't have to believe what I believe. If you sat here and talked with me and it's been okay, then just take prayer as me just speaking more words of encouragement and life over you to the one that I believe in. Which is I believe in God. I do. I believe in God. So what I like to do is in all of my ways acknowledge God so that my path can be directed. That's what I like to do. Okay. And so if you would just give me that, do me that solid, do me that favor, allow me to pray just some words over your life. I would appreciate it. And we'll wrap up and we'll do it again if the Lord says so. All right, cool. All right, Father, thank you for this day that you have made for us to rejoice and be glad in. Thank you for a day to be glad. With all of the situations and circumstances in life, you granted us moments where we could be glad. And so, without a complaint in our heart, just want to thank you. Thank you for what you've done tonight. Thank you for what you've done in someone's life to encourage them, to move them forward, to initiate healing, to provoke their courage, to help them see a different aspect of life, a different opportunity. Thank you for that. Thank you that someone's heart now feels like that they can keep going. Thank you that someone now has decided not to give up. Thank you that someone now has hope rising where there was no hope. So I thank you because those are miracles that have happened in our present. Thank you for doing that. It's with grateful and humble hearts that we acknowledge your presence. There's nothing that I could have said or done in my own just strength that could make a difference in someone's life. So I thank you that you brought this story together in my life so that it could be shared. Thank you for giving me another moment to share. I appreciate it. And I thank you. Thank you for those that have been blessed. And I thank you for those that have been strengthened. And I thank you for the battle that they are going to do in their life with their purpose and their assignment. I thank you that somebody is getting ready to do big things, that they see hope. Hope is a good thing. So thank you. I appreciate it. And I pray that as we go our separate ways, that you would continue healing the hearts of those that have been hurting. Thank you for healing broken hearts, healing broken homes. Thank you for hearing their situation. And I just pray that good things would happen as they move forward. I pray as they go forward that your grace and your mercy would overtake them, that doors of opportunity would be blown open, and that they would step in and do what they can do. I pray that they would share their gifts like never before, that they would unearth their talents, their abilities, and that they would share, that they would, like that woman in the story, seek out that those that they could pour into, and they would pour. Shut the door and pour. So we celebrate in advance for things that are going to be done. And we just pray that as we go our separate ways, you be with us. I pray angels of protection surround those that are here tonight, those and those that they care about and they love. Surround their homes, their minds. Give someone the best sleep they've had in a long time tonight, please. We thank you for these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Oh, man. Told you. I told you it was going to happen. Like, I was good. But, sometimes when it gets good to you, I don't try to hold back I don't hold back. I have a rule. Don't hold back smiles and don't hold back tears. So I appreciate you all hanging out. We're a little bit tardy. It's about 10:15. So I wanted to keep it to an hour, but ran a little long. So, but I appreciate you all. Thanks so much for kicking it. Like I said, we're going to keep on moving forward. And I plan on just showing up and doing all that I can to encourage you to discover your best self and deliver your treasure to the world. So, Josh, thanks. If you need me, reach out to me. We can talk some more. But you all have a fantastic evening. I'm B.A. Shepherd, 2 P's ARD, reminding you to be a shepherd. The world has enough sheep. I love y'all. Good night. See ya.